Hans woke up first. He could see the sun through the trees. He looked at his watch. It was 8 o'clock. "Wake up," he shouted. "It is late." He threw off his blanket and got up. Then he ran to the river and washed his face in the cold water. Elsa and the boys did the same. They had a quick breakfast. Then they pushed the boat into the river and set off. They sang while they were sailing down the river. "There are a lot of fish in the river," Elsa said. "Some of them are quite big." "We need a fishing line," Otto said. "Then we can catch some fish for dinner." "Perhaps the warden will give us some hooks," Hans told them. "If we have a hook, we can make a fishing line. It's quite easy." Hans was looking at the map of the river. "The warden's house is not far from here," he said. "I'm certain that he has a boat. It may not be in the water, so watch the bank of the river." After a few minutes, Carl saw a boat. But it was a big boat and it had an engine. "The warden has a boat," Hans said, "but it is not like that. That's a motorboat." "Look," said Elsa. "There is a second boat. It is under the bushes. It is smaller than the motorboat." "That is the warden's boat," Hans said. "But who owns the big boat?" "Perhaps friends are visiting the warden," Otto said. "Then he has rich friends," Hans said. "A motorboat costs a lot of money." The boys tied up their boat near the motorboat. "Who will look after our boat?" Hans asked. "Our things are in the boat, so one person must stay here." "I will stay," Elsa said. "I won't come to the warden's house," Otto said. "I want to explore the forest." "Shout when you're ready, and I'll come back." "All right," Hans said. "Carl and I will go to the warden's house." The two boys set off through the trees. They followed a path. The path led to a small field. They could see the warden's house from there. It was across the field. "The warden's at home," Hans said. "Look at the black smoke. He has a big fire." "But what is he burning?" Carl asked. "The smoke's very black." "Perhaps he's burning some old things," Hans answered. "Shall we go and see him?" "Wait," Carl said. They were still among the trees. "Can you hear a noise? Listen." It was the sound of an engine. It was coming nearer. "It's the plane again," Hans said. "Look, it's coming over the trees." The plane was very low. The boys could see the pilot's head. The plane was flying in a circle. "Quickly," Hans said. "Get behind those bushes. We can watch from there." The two boys hid behind the bushes. They had a good view of the field. Two men came out of the warden's house. One had a flag in his hand. He waved the flag 3 times. Then the pilot waved his hand and flew very low. The plane was over the middle of the field. Then the pilot threw a red thing from the plane. After that, the plane flew off. The red thing fell through the air. It fell slowly and it landed in the middle of the field. One of the men ran and picked it up. He took it back to the house and then both men went inside. "What was it?" Carl asked. "Could you see?" "It was round like a ball," Hans answered. "But it wasn't a ball because it fell slowly. Perhaps it was a small balloon. There was a bag under it. But why did the pilots throw it from the plane? And who are these men at the warden's hut? Why have they come here in their boat?" "And then there was the black smoke," Carl added. "The black smoke was for the pilot. It showed him the place in the forest." "I think that you're right," Hans said. Then perhaps the warden is in trouble. These men can't be his friends. We must help him. The two boys stood up. We must go back to the boat, Hans said, and tell Otto and Elsa. Stay there, a voice said. The boys turned slowly. Two men were standing behind them. You must come with us, one of them said. Quickly. He pointed to the warden's house.
The two men led Hans and Karl across the field. Let me go, Hans said. Why are you taking us to the house? The men did not reply. When they reached the house, one of the men opened the door and pushed the boys inside. There were two men inside the room. One of them was fat and he wore clothes. He had a large ring on his finger. The flag was on the table, but there was no sign of the red balloon. Who are these boys? The fat man asked. What are they doing here? We found them near the field, sir, the man replied. They were hiding behind some bushes and watching the house. Is this true? The fat man asked the boys. He spoke quietly, but Hans did not like his voice. Were you watching the house? What are you doing here? We weren't watching the house, Hans answered. We were walking through the forest. Then we saw the plane. We were watching that. Ah, of course, you saw the plane, the fat man said. He laughed. Yes, that was my plane. I'm a rich man, and I have a big business in the city, so I have my letters brought every day. I'm on holiday, but I still have work to do. The fat man pulled some letters from his pocket and showed them to the boys. The pilot brought these today. His story may be true, Hans thought, but I don't like this man. I think that he's bad. And where's the warden? But why were you coming to the house? The fat man asked. You haven't told me that. We wanted to see the warden, Hans replied. Is the warden a friend of yours? The fat man asked. He's a friend of my father's, Hans explained. We wanted to spend the day with him, and we wanted some fishing hooks too. I'm afraid that you can't spend the day here, the fat man said. The warden isn't here. He's gone into the forest. He won't come back today. But perhaps we can find some fishing hooks for you. He turned to the man at his side. Go and look for fishing hooks, he ordered. Suddenly there was a loud noise. It came from the next room. A man was beating on the door. He was beating it hard and shouting, Let me go! You can't keep me here! Let me go! He continued to beat on the door. The fat man's face changed. He was very angry. He turned to his two men. Go and stop him, he ordered. Quickly, he may escape. The two men ran out of the room. After that, the noise stopped. The fat man sat there. He did not speak. So the warden is a prisoner, Hans said to himself. These men have shut him in that room. The fat man won't let us go now because we know this. We're his prisoners too. They were alone with the fat man. He was sitting behind the table. This was the moment to escape. The fat man was not watching them. But suddenly he looked up. You can't escape, he said. One of my men is standing outside the door. But what are you doing to the warden? Hans cried. He's a prisoner here. You can't do this to him. It's not your business, the fat man replied. You must stay here too. I can't let you go. You'll talk about this. He shouted to his men, and they came into the room again. Were these two boys alone? He asked. We saw only these boys, one of the men replied. But how did they come here? The fat man asked. Is there a village up the river? Yes, there is, the man answered, but it's a long way from here, and there isn't a path through the forest, so they came by boat. Go to the river and look, the fat man ordered, and if they have any friends, bring them here. The man went out of the room. Then the fat man turned to the second man. Take the boys to the cellar, he told him. They can't escape from there. The man led Hans and Karl to the cellar and opened the door. If you escape, you won't escape from here, he said. Then he pushed the boys into the cellar and shut the door.